physical experience comes first, and then comes the rest. When I had no roof, I made audacity my roof. When I had no supper, my eyes dined. When I had no eyes, I listened. When I had no ears, I thought. When I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I was literally afraid of being a bum. There will now be questions from the students or prolonged embarrassing silence. I can remember the assistant principal at Long Branch High School telling me, people with your attitude can't hold a job. I think of myself in the ways I thought of myself when I was getting in trouble in the 8th grade. I can remember studying the bums, see how bad it looked. And I was somewhat surprised to find myself being Poet Laureate.
Please join me in welcoming to Chattanooga Dr. Robert Pinsky.
I loved what Robert Pinsky did as Poet Laureate.
A gentleman who's been Poet Laureate of the United States 3 times.
I always smile politely if somebody says, oh, you've done a lot to promote poetry, to advance poetry. I don't think of it that way at all. To me, poetry is too large and fundamental to be sold like a brand of soap. Poetry, get it? It tastes funny, but it's really good for you. No, a poem is something that happens, like a piece of music. It happens in time. Let it not your wonder move, less your laughter that I love. Though I now write 50 years, I have had and have my peers. Poets, though divine, are men. Some have loved as old again, and it isn't always face, clothes, or fortune gives the grace, or the feature, or the youth. But the language and the truth, with the ardor and the passion, gives the lover weight and fashion.
When translating Dante's Inferno or any other work, when do you know when you're done?
It's physical. You say it over to yourself. It feels smooth. The theory of translation I gave the students this afternoon was that Dante's Italian is the best translation ever made of an original in the mind of God. The Inferno has been translated many, many times. So I had to do something that was a new work of art. As winter starlings riding on their wings form crowded flocks, so spirits dip and veer, foundering in the wind's rough buffetings, upward or downward, driven here and there with never ease from pain nor hope of rest. As chanting cranes will form a line in air, so I saw souls come, uttering cries, wind-tossed and lofted by the storm.
It brings out the individualism of each person in their own writings and their own way of displaying what they think or feel or their past experiences.
Education and art should be intertwined, and how sometimes art is more important than just a piece of paper that says that you learned something.
Deep in the evolution of human intelligence, at the core of the evolution of human intelligence, is poetry and music. They're not ornaments, they're the center, and we work out from the center.
I'm really curious because I was informed that you play sax.
Yes.
As a follow-up question, how do your chops in music translate to poetry?
It's the whole thing. It's very much like noodling at a piano. Every sentence has a tune. It's a phrase, the energy that goes through a phrase more than a word. And the second one goes up in pitch quite a lot, so it's long, slightly less long, but higher in pitch. It might be a rhythm like that, and you say, almost is an interesting way to begin talking. Love of the lips was touch as sweet as I could bear, and once that seemed too much, I lived on air that crossed me from sweet things, the flow of, was it musk, from hidden grapevine hills downhill at dusk. I had the swirl and ache from sprays of honeysuckle that when they're gathered shake dew on the knuckle. I craved strong sweets, but those seemed strong when I was young. The petal of the rose it was that stung. Now, no joy but lacks salt that is not dashed with pain and weariness and fault. I crave the stain of almost too much love, the sweet of bitter bark and burning clove. When stiff and sore and scarred, I'd take away my hand from leaning on it hard in grass or sand. The hurt is not enough. I long for weight and strength to feel the earth as rough to all my length.